Hey everybody, and welcome back. So I've been gone for a bit, summertime, vacation, kids off from school. Then also I've been working on kind of a side project that I'll be letting you guys know soon. But it's great to be back. Excuse me, getting off of a cold here, summer flu. But it's great to be back, and there's been a lot going on. Oh man, is it never boring with Donald Trump? But the first thing I want to talk about is this petition that's been going around and how we're already at 100,000 signatures. You know, this petition to basically send back the U.S. ambassador to Canada, Pete, what's his last name? Pete Hoekstra? Pete Hoekstra. Sorry, Pete Hoekstra. I don't care if I got his last name wrong because he's a POS anyways, and I have no respect for him, which a lot of Canadians don't. So let's take a look at what this petition is and why it's going around, why people are signing in, and so on and so forth. Okay. So at the time of writing this article, and this is August 12th, okay, there was 70,000 signatures already. And this petition is, as they say here, the woman behind a petition calling for the U.S. President's Donald Trump representative in Ottawa to be kicked out of the country says it's grown beyond her expectations. The online petition, which is set to be presented in the House of Commons in the fall, the deadline is November 12th, I think, 11th or 12th, I could be wrong. Commons in the fall, it says Pete Hoekstra should be declared persona non grata, and the Canadian government should request his removal as U.S. ambassador to Canada. Now, it's August 13th, just a day later, and they've also updated this as more than 100,000 people have signed this petition as of Thursday afternoon, which today is Thursday. Probably a lot more now. I don't think that we will have less than 1 million people or 1 million signatures by the time this goes to the House and Commons in November, because it's really gained momentum on this. Now, persona non grata. Persona non grata, it is a formal designation a country can apply to a foreign diplomat, indicating that the diplomat is no longer accepted by the host country and is expected to leave. This is one of the strongest diplomatic actions short of breaking diplomatic relations. So basically, the step before we say get the hell out, we no longer want to deal with the US. Now, this was started, like right here it says, it's beyond what I expected out of this, said Lee Walker, the Calgary-based woman behind the petition in an email to CBC News. Oh, this is one of the things I do love about you Albertans. Man, when you're pissed, you really start like, except for those separatists, those traitors, this is a true Canadian, and I love how it's coming out of Alberta. You know, Alberta, where they always joke that you guys are the Texas of Canada. You guys are like, yes, you have your own way of doing things. You are your own culture to a certain thing, like, Ontario, the East Coast, Quebec, BC. Every province has its own thing, okay? But you are Canadians, and this Calgary woman is proved to be a true Canadian, doing what we all believe should be done. Now, let's talk about why this is being done. So, for a lot of you, you know this guy Pete. Maybe some of you haven't seen some of the headlines, some of the comments that this arrogant, like, balls must be huge to sit at these conferences and say what he said about Canada and Canadians.
I'm disappointed that I came to Canada, a Canada that it is very, very difficult to find Canadians who are passionate about the American-Canadian relationship. We ran a campaign where, it was anti-American. If the relationship is ruptured and Canada wants to walk away, that's That's your decision. We're presenting the sales pitch as why doing business and doing business with America continues to be a huge opportunity for Canadians and other people in the world.
How we Canadians have taken advantage of the US, how we Canadians, how Canada should be, and I'm paraphrasing here, that we should kiss the ring of Donald Trump, that we owe everything to the US, that if the US left tomorrow, they would be okay and Canada would fall apart. Now, technically, yes, and it's not because we rely on the US because they provide everything. It's because we've intertwined our economy so closely to just the US because we had great relationships. They're neighbors. Why wouldn't we? But they have shown they can't be trusted anymore to a certain degree. Like, really? No, they can't be trusted anymore because they voted in Donald Trump twice. Like, when you see a guy screw up the first time, vote him out, then vote him back in, I don't know how you trust a country like that. And that's the rest of the world feels the same way. So, over the last year, Mark Carney has been starting to make deals with and allies with other countries so that we're not 100% reliant on the US for trade, which will strengthen us as a country for negotiations, especially now. We are stronger for negotiating right now. Otherwise, if we had just concentrated on trying to get that no tariff deal with the US and not make any other deals and other alliances with other countries, that Pierre Poilievre has always said, oh, you're wasting your time going around. You should be concentrating only with the US to get that deal of zero tariffs. That would have been a mistake. And if he had done that and listened to Pierre Poilievre, we would not be where we are in terms of the ability to make and negotiate. And there's two reasons, like that we are better where we are now. We have other alliances with other trading partners, especially people that need our oil, gas, minerals, and whatnot, and trading back and forth, buying from them, they buy from us. Now, we're never going to eliminate the US, but we can reduce the reliance on the US. That's the goal. We're never going to get zero tariffs with the US. Even Donald Trump, if you haven't been following what he has or what he does, I follow a lot of things in the US, a lot of their politics. Trump talks out of both sides of his ass, or both sides of his mouth, both sides of his mouth. Talks about how he wants to bring everything back to the US, and that's why he's putting the tariffs on. Bring all the manufacturing that they've lost to China, to Canada, to Mexico, Europe, whatever. So that's why we're bringing, because we took advantage of them. It's not like those corporations are taking advantage of those other countries for looser environmental laws, labor laws, cheaper labor, and so on and so forth. Yeah, no, we forced those companies to come to us or to China or Europe or whoever, okay? Doesn't understand how things work. Blames everybody else. But anyways, those tariffs are to bring it back. But then he talks about how tariffs are great. They generate income. And this back in the 30s or 20s or whatever it was, the US had tariffs and they didn't have income tax and they were able to generate enough money to run the government, and we should go back to that model and economy and everything else and so on and so forth, let alone understand that those tariffs brought them into was one of the reasons that brought them into the Depression. So he wants tariffs because it's a different way to tax his people without physically putting another tax on their income or on their earnings or within the state or whatever it is. It's just a tricky way to tax the poor or to the general public and not have to tax people who are rich. So there's always going to be a tariff. And that tariff is going to be small enough that the manufacturers are not going to move the facilities from Canada to the US or from Mexico to back to the US. It's going to be small enough that it'll still be able to add that to the cost of the material, to the labor, to the production or whatever, added to the final product, that they'll still make money. It'll be cheaper to do it that way, even with the tariff. But then the government's collecting that tariff money. So the production's not going to move, not going to raise the prices that much. They'll keep the production outside the US. They'll bring it in, sell it to the public, pass that cost on to the public, and the governments will collect that income and be able to use it to subsidize all the tax breaks they've given to the rich. So that's why even economists know that no country anywhere is going to be tariff free. And that's only going to hurt the American people. Now, there's proper ways to do tariffs. I'm not saying there should be no tariffs. Please don't understand that. But the way Trump and his administration is going about it is like bull in a china shop. I don't know how else. There's no logic, rhyme, or reason of their strategy. Now, the second thing, my second point on that we are why we're better off is we've proved not only we've made other alliances and trade partners and so on and so forth, but we've also proved to the US that they need us. Okay? And they explain why. Let's just go on the booze ban. Okay? Just booze alone. Okay? They have lost $1.2 billion in trade just on booze. And you're thinking, oh, that's a lot of money. But, the United States is 340 million population and the rest of the world and so on and so forth. But that industry is screaming and hurting and crying. They have started to lobby the United States government because it's now a sticking point in the current trade negotiations that we have to put the booze back on. That it's unfair and we're mean and we're nasty, according to Trump. So we do matter because we buy a lot of booze and we support a lot of their economy when it comes to spirits and liquor. Right? Because if it didn't matter, like Trump says, I like to be separate to Canada, we don't need them, then why is their industry crying and screaming that we got to put the booze back on the shelves? Not just the booze. Let's talk about trips, tourism, okay? Tourism in the US. Where do you think majority of a country's tourism comes from? Always from their neighbors, because it's a quick car drive, plane ride, whatever it is, as opposed to from Europe, Asia, Africa, Middle East, whatever it is, okay? Your greatest asset when it comes to tourism are from your neighbors. Case in point, the US has seen a drop of 22% in tourism. That's anywhere from 3.3 to $4.5 billion lost in their tourism industry. People still travel to the US for different reasons. They may have family there, only have to go because they want to see their family. They spend as little as possible time there or whatnot. Work. We have industry there. Like, companies are entwined. They're just not going to stop not going. They have to go for business, but they're not spending. And then, of course, people that actually go there, like Florida, New Hampshire, New York, Las Vegas, parts of California, they're begging for Canadians, please come back. Please, please don't judge us on our leader. We want you guys back. We're neighbors, this and that, because they're hemorrhaging money. They're hemorrhaging money. Let alone the rest of the world's not going there because they don't want to be picked up by ICE. They don't want to be brought to somewhere where they can't get a hold of a lawyer. They don't know if they're going to be sent to some other country just because they look different. So that's what they're hurting. They're hurting. 3.3 to $4.5 billion just on Canadian travel shows we still support their economy. So we've also proved to them that we matter. And that's why they're negotiating. But the arrogance of, example, Pete Hookstar and Donald Trump the arrogance, they don't care and they think that they're the reason why Canada survives. Not looking at reason on that it's a mutual partnership, that we survive and we're strong together. So, depending on what happens with negotiations, especially with this this petition, that's hopefully should also show to our leaders that Canadians are united and we are actually fed up, and they're voicing that. You hear rumblings that if negotiations don't bode well, especially for Canada, like if it fails, basically if it fails, okay, that we can't come to a comprehensive agreement that's great for both sides, it's going to be hard for us Canadians to support our leaders to say, yeah, keep going back to the table. Of course, Pierre Poilievre will sound like a parrot and keep going back that Carney failed, should have got 0%, because he would have got 0%. Maybe Giovanni, the MP from his party, because he knew or knows or went to school with J.D. Vance that he could have got a better deal and then he should have been part of the trade convoy and everything else. It's okay. The Canadians know you can't make a deal with somebody who doesn't know what they want or doesn't even like their own deal and has problems with their own deal. And what I mean by that is NAFTA. NAFTA was renegotiated, I think it was 2018 with Trudeau because Trump hated NAFTA. Says it was never a good deal because it's only a good deal if I'm making the deal. That's his motto. I have to make the deal to get the best deals because I get the best deals. And remember back in that day, he was talking about the dairy industry, how Canada is unfair to the American dairy industry. So they renegotiated a bunch of other little things, but the main sticking point was the dairy industry. And under the new NAFTA deal, which is called, CUSMA, but also, please understand, let me give you a little bit of history behind that. CUSMA is the version of Canada, which is Canada, United States, Mexico Agreement. In the United States, they call it the USMCA, which is United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement. Mexico is TMEC. I'm not sure, I don't understand what it's saying here, what it stands for, and I apologize. But even Trump, with the New Deal, want his basic signature of it was his deal. So they had their own version of the name. We have our own version of the name. It's basically the country, whatever country you're talking about, their initials are first to a certain degree. So anyways, he negotiated it to a better deal for the dairy farmers of America. Signed it, CUSMA, USMCA, blah, 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 whatever. Done. Got voted out, got voted back in, and now he has a problem with CUSMA. Again, his deal. His deal. He has a problem with how Canada is treating the U.S. dairy farmers. His deal. I don't understand how you negotiate with somebody who doesn't even like the deal he negotiated. Do you understand the frustrations? Why us Canadians are frustrated with you Americans, if there are any Americans that are watching? Your leader does not even like the deal he made. So, for the Canadians who think that we should make a deal, or the Americans think that we should just suck it up and take anything, how do you make a deal with somebody who changes their mind as frequent as people change their underwear? Or has a problem with the deal that he made? You can't. This is the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Because he's such a man-child, he can just close the border. And no one would stop him on his side because they're all afraid. And it's going to hurt. Not only the Americans, it's going to hurt us Canadians. That's why we have to tiptoe around this man baby. He's not strong. He's weak. He always has been and always will be. The sooner those people who still support Trump, and there are Canadians here, let me tell you, because I was at a wedding this weekend, and there was a family member who wished they could move to the US because they think Trump is such a great guy. So I wish people would actually open up, those small minority that's still left, would open up their mind. There's nothing you can do with this guy, and there's no deal to be made. Because even if they came up with the deal, and the next day or so, before the deadline, how many out there believe Trump will find something, dementia-ridden, forget about the deal that he signed, whatever, and try to make it look like Canada screwed them again, and go back on his deal? I believe that, and so does everybody else, because time again, over and over again, over and over and over and over, has he always proved that he cannot be trusted for any deal that he signs. It's not going to be, this is going to be different this time. It will not change. So I wish Pierre Poilievre would just be quiet and stop talking about trying to make a deal with the US, because there is none. He would be better. His approval ratings are still in the tank. Between the two parties, Liberals are at 44%, Conservatives are 31%. Still, it's actually dropped. It's leveled off. Or depends on 1 or 2%, depends on what's polling have you done, but it's still dramatic. He's lost 3 MPs? Another one's retiring and leaving? His favorability is still at 33%. He makes us look dumb. Even, thank God, he's not liked. For him to say we should still make a deal with him, that people are listening to him. Just be a pure Canadian and just be with Carney on this one. Fight him on everything else. But on this, when everybody sees exactly what's going on, you're still fighting to say that you would have been able to make a deal. In other words, I'm paraphrasing, that you would have been able to make a deal with Trump for 0% tariffs. You sound silly. Canadians can see that. That's why you're polling the way you are. And the only way you have this 33% is because those are the followers that will go down with the ship with you. Even if you told those followers you hate them and you wish they would never vote for you, they will still vote for you because they'll somehow justify what you're saying is code and reverse psychology. Don't worry, there's liberals that are the same way too. So I'm not just picking on the PC, but just as a Canadian citizen, just support Carney on this one because Trump is not well and the entire world can see it. This is the frustration that a lot of Canadians are facing, and we are all united on this, especially when it comes to this petition that we've already got 100,000 signatures, and I have a feeling we're going to hit over 1 million before November. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think when it comes to a deal, if they reach a deal. I think it'll be a month, but how long do you think it'll be before Trump goes back on the deal, before it's actually signed? Because, they come up with a deal, understanding, and they go over like the final points and everything else before they actually sign something. But how long do you think it'll be before Trump gets a bee in his bonnet, something pisses him off, and he'll start throwing tariffs on Canada again? I believe a month, if they come up to a deal. From that point, 1 month. Let me know what you guys think. Anyways, guys, take care. We'll talk later.